Hi, welcome to my channel where I share all things motherhood, serving God, serving my family, and our approach to a holistic, healthy lifestyle. I'm glad you're here. If it's your first time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. So let's get into it. If you're watching this video, you might be interested in introducing solids to your baby to promote a healthy gut. And if that's why you're here, I'm really excited for you and excited for your baby. I'm sharing what we introduced to my son for the first 2 weeks of having solids to promote a healthy gut. What we've been following loosely, but definitely following, is the GAPS diet. The GAPS diet is by Dr. Natasha Campbell. If you watched my video from last week, you would see that I made sauerkraut, homemade raw milk yogurt. Those would be our two base probiotics for this diet, for him and for us. Her book is called Gut and Psychology Syndrome. She really focuses on foods that heal leaky gut and soothe inflammation of the gut through nourishing meals. And one of the main foods that help to seal and soothe leaky gut would be meat stock. So the first 2 weeks of introducing solids to August were meat stock with carrots and butternut squash pureed, and we've also introduced a probiotic, which would be whey. I'm gonna let you know exactly what Dr. Natasha says to introduce the first week and what we did differently. The first week she says to introduce meat stock, 1 to 2 teaspoons before every breastfeed, and also to introduce carrot juice. What we did differently is we did not give him meat stock before every breastfeed. What I did is I gave him meat stock twice a day before breastfeeding. And because we don't have a juicer, he didn't have carrot juice. And personally, I was totally okay with that. In the second week, she says to introduce whey first to the meat stock, 1 to 2 teaspoons, and gradually increase from there, following a vegetable puree. Obviously, vegetables that are non-starchy and are easy to digest, that won't cause too much gas and upset in the stomach. So what we did differently for week 2 is we actually, because I noticed my son was really hungry, I think moms intuitively, we know best and we know our babies more than anyone else. I didn't wait a whole week to introduce vegetables. I waited 4 days, and then I started to blend in carrots and butternut squash to his meat stock with an immersion blender. Everything else, you want to do the sensitivity test, so I'll put a drop on his wrist and see how it looks tomorrow morning. Following that, I waited 2 days to introduce the whey drip. And I will share here how I made the whey drip. It's actually from raw milk yogurt that I made. It's pouring the yogurt into a cheesecloth, and the drip from the yogurt is actually the whey that has a lot of beneficial bacteria. This is after a few hours of being left in the fridge. We have nothing but whey liquid at the bottom, and we have really thick yogurt to work with. You can see. And I'll just put this in its own jar. Perfect. There's our whey. This is what we are left with. Here's the whey, and here's the really thick. It now has like the consistency of Greek yogurt. I'll be using in August's food. I'll probably just use a few drops in the beginning to get him used to it, and then increase as the days go by. Another thing that I did differently was I only gave him a few drops of whey. I just wanted to take it really slow with the probiotics. I didn't want him to have, a bad reaction to having way too many probiotics at once. I would have introduced sauerkraut juice, but my sauerkraut just became ready to eat a few days ago, so we'll start introducing that next week, and I'll make a video on what we're introducing next week. One of the things that I never forgot to do is the sensitivity test. Basically, before introducing any meal, the meat stock, I put a little bit of it cool down in the inside of his forearm, made sure it was dry, then covered it up, and the next morning what I would do is check to see if there was any irritation, any red bumps, anything that would look like a rash. But so far for He had no negative reactions to any of those foods, but just keep in mind that before introducing foods, the GAPS book, Dr. Natasha does talk about doing a sensitivity test to make sure your baby will be able to tolerate that food without an allergic reaction. But for now, that's all I'm sharing, is just what he ate the first 2 weeks. Unfortunately, I don't have much footage on the meat stock alone. He did not take the bottle. I ended up spoon feeding him the meat stock because he is a breastfeeding boy and he does not really like the bottle. So he has been eating from the spoon like a champ, and I hope that my videos are somewhat helpful and encouraging if you're just feeling totally lost as to what to do to introduce foods to your baby. You will always hear me preach gut health is everything, because it truly is. I look forward to having you all here next week. Again, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, comment if you have any questions, and see you next week.